My kindergarten teacher called my mom over a drawing. It wasn't what anyone expected when Mrs. Wilson called my mother for an urgent meeting about my kindergarten artwork. Mom thought I was in serious trouble. Eat out my innocent drawing revealed something about our family that changed everything, minds, including who my father really was. I was 5 years old when my kindergarten class did the classic draw your family assignment. While other kids scribbled stick figures with smiling faces, I meticulously drew my mom, myself, and a tall man with a star in his shirt that I labeled my real dad. The problem, according to everyone in my life, my father had died before I was born. Mrs. Wilson pulled me aside during recess. "Sweetie, who is this man in your drawing?" "That's my real dad," I explained confidently. "He comes to my window at night and tells me stories." By the time my mother arrived for the meeting after school, Mrs. Wilson had already contacted the school counselor. They sat Mom down with concerned expressions, my drawing placed carefully on the table between them. "Mrs. Carter, we're concerned about Jamie's drawing," Mrs. Wilson began gently. "She's created an imaginary father figure who she claims visits her bedroom at night. Given the circumstances, we wanted to discuss this with you immediately." My mother's face drained of color as she stared at my drawing. The man had dark curly hair, a crooked smile, and a 5-pointed star on his uniform shirt. That's impossible," Mom whispered cuppity or Dylan. "And she's never seen a picture of him." Mrs. Wilson and the counselor exchanged confused glances. "My husband was a sheriff's deputy," Mom explained, her voice shaking. "He died in a car accident 2 months before Jamie was born. He had curly hair and always wore his badge, minus a star, minus on his uniform." The counselor leaned forward. "Mrs. Carter, has Jamie seen photographs?" "No," Mom insisted. "It was too painful. I packed everything away before she was born. There were no pictures of him in our house that night." Mom asked me about the man in my drawing. I told her how he came to my window sometimes, told me funny stories about when he and Bahashis were young, and said he was watching over me even though he couldn't stay. Mom pulled out a dusty photo album from the attic. When she showed me a picture of my father in his uniform, I pointed excitedly. "That's him. That's my real dad." The next day, Mrs. Wilson called my mother again, not to express concern, but to apologize. "In 20 years of teaching, I've learned that children sometimes know things we can't explain," she said. My mother started keeping my father's photo on my nightstand. Sometimes I'd wake up to find her sitting in my room watching the window with a mixture of hope and fear. I am 28 now, with children of my own. I still don't have a rational explanation for how I knew what my father looked like. My mother eventually remarried, and my stepfather is wonderful, but she never doubted what I saw last year when my daughter was 5. She pointed to the old photograph of my father and said, "That's the man who sits on my bed sometimes. He says he's my grandpa." Mrs. Wilson retired years ago, but she sent me a card when my first child was born. It simply said, "Some things can't be taught or explained. Those are the most important things to remember."